Over the last 10 years, New York City has been one of the safest cities in America. In fact, in some years it's had lower crime than European cities like London and Paris. Much of this is attributed to cameras, strict laws, and district attorneys actually prosecuting crime. Because of this, being a criminal in New York is one of the dumbest things a person can do. There's no getting away with anything, it's just a matter of time before your name pops up in the next indictment. This all reigns true even for the worst part of the city, which happens to be the Bronx. Believe it or not, the Big Bad Bronx has a lower homicide rate than Seattle and even San Diego in 2022. But for this video, we focus on Brooklyn, specifically the Flatbush neighborhood. Historically, the neighborhood has been a stronghold for Crips, but in typical New York fashion, everything changes by generation. And for this generation, things are complicated and pretty messy. As police explain it, everything goes by specific buildings and specific blocks. For example, one set will claim a building and their rivals will claim the building directly across the street. None of it makes sense to outsiders, but in New York, that's just how things operate. Well, starting around 2014, Flatbush became divided into 4 sections, all claiming different buildings. First, you have the Insane Crips, also known as the ICG Babies. The Babies cover 2 very small sections of Flatbush. One is a small project located on 131 East 21st Street. This is their main territory and it's known as the Castle. Next, they have a small territory located on Crown Street, which is known as their second hood. ICG happen to be the smallest set and have the least territory in Flatbush. Next, you have the Folk Nation Gangster Disciples, who are spread out throughout Flatbush. The set originated in Chicago and made their way into New York City in the 1990s. Well, in Flatbush, they cover 4 different sections: H Block, NLC, Ebbets, and most importantly, the 50s. Well, ICG Babies and the Folk Nation are both rivals of the next 2 sections. First, let me introduce you to the 9 Ways G-Stone Crips. These guys hold down the largest single territory of them all, and this territory happens to be the most treacherous as well. On top of this, these guys are known to cause problems anywhere they go. And finally, we have what everyone is here for. The 8-Tray Crips are easily the biggest and baddest section of them all. Their first territory is known as the Cadden 8-Tray, located in East Flatbush. The large territory actually has the ICG Castle located right in the middle of it, which makes things complicated. Next, you have the 40s and finally the flossy 80s. Well, with 9 ways and all of these 8-Tray sections together, it makes for a pretty powerful force. And according to police, they're all led by a very important man. Let me introduce you to Michael Williams, commonly known as Chef G. Chef was raised on Church Avenue and came under the man who's credited with bringing 8-Tray to Brooklyn. Well, in his teenage years, Chef G began rapping and gained a major buzz throughout the city. And quickly after just a year of rapping, he began getting 5 to 10 million views on each of his songs. Personally, I can say that he's one of the only New York drill rappers that isn't a complete joke. But he isn't the only popular rapper in the 8-Tray circle. By his side is another popular rapper named Tegan Chambers, commonly known as Sleepy Hollow. And just like Chef G, this guy blew up in music as well. Together, the two began taking over the drill scene, but little did people know they were also living wild lives in the streets. It all began in the spring of 2019 when 9 Ways and 8-Tray officially clicked up. This was a force to be reckoned with, but it wasn't exactly the smartest group of men. In March of 2019, Chef G decided to make a group chat with all of the 8-Tray and 9 Ways members. And to clarify, this wasn't Jack phones or WhatsApp, this was everyone's personal iMessage. To make matters worse, inside the group chat they discussed the specifics on when and where they're gonna slide on the rivals. And on the morning of May 24th, 2019, Chef G would make a Facebook post that kicked everything off. The post stated 4 gang, allegedly egging on members to make a move. And later that night, a move would be made. 10 p.m. A 9 Ways member named Shamari Hudson takes a trip down to the Folk Nation 50s. After running up and down their blocks, he finally notices a member on Clarkson Avenue. And that's when he makes his move. Thankfully, the man was okay, but for some reason, Shamari didn't think this was the case. Only 30 minutes after doing this, Shamari would text the group chat. He said, "I just made hot in the 50s, check the Citizen app. For people who don't know, the Citizen app is an alert system where people can see police reports in real time. Well, about an hour later, the 8-Tray and 9ways members would respond telling him that he didn't do a good enough job. So to prove his worth, Shamari would slide again 2 days later, March 26, 2019. Shamari runs down to the 50s again, but this time he hits nothing but plywood and decides not to text the group chat. Well, in typical New York fashion, nothing would happen over the next year except for numerous diss tracks and multiple social media posts.